Today we are talking about working 2 hours a day and how you can make that possible for you inside of your business. So I'm Salen. Thanks so much for being here today. I am your fun business coach, and I help women entrepreneurs who have a six-figure business that have kind of been sold that lie that 6 figures in revenue will allow you to build your dream lifestyle. So if you've been feeling like I'm struggling to pay my business bills, I'm struggling to pay my personal bills with my 6-figure business, then you are in the right place, because I help you implement the 4 core pillars that every single successful business has, whether it's Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, so you can scale to 1 million and beyond. Because here's the thing, not only will you join the elite 2%, yes, only 2% of women entrepreneurs are able to celebrate $1 million in revenue, and I think that's totally crap. But when you hit $1 million in business revenue, that's when you can start paying yourself 6 figures to multi 6 figures and actually live the dream lifestyle that you want. That means working 2 hours a day, taking epic adventures, going on travel trips and taking that upgraded stay, right? Maybe going away from your business for 2 to 4 weeks and not feeling guilty or like everything is going to fall apart. Buying a new car, getting your dream home, all of those different things are definitely possible and not just a dream. But in order to make them happen, you need to be at $1 million in revenue. And I can tell you firsthand, I did it. It's not some big secret to get there, but I'm going to help you do it way better than the way that I did it back in 2010. I'm going to teach you how to do it in just 90 days and without burning out. Because when I hit $1 million in revenue, it looked nothing like what I thought it was going to be. See, when I started my business, it was a warm, sunny Sunday. I was sitting on my boyfriend's boat, and I thought, I'm going to start a business. And I just had this wonderful picture of how everything was going to feel. But fast forward just 3 years, when I should have been celebrating that $1 million revenue, instead I was sitting again, but this time in my car alone, crying at 9 a.m. after having worked another shift that one of my team members had called out for. And at 9 a.m., I had already been up since 4 a.m. and I still had an entire full day of things that I needed to do. And that's not what I want for you. I want you to get these 4 pillars into your business now. So not only can you enjoy the rest of the time that you're in 6 figures revenue, but when you hit $1 million, that you're not sitting in your car crying like I was back in 2010. So today we're going to get into what so many of my clients want is a 2-hour workday during the summer. Now, if you want to work 2 hours a day year round, you can totally do that too and take this concept. But most of the women that I work with would like to work just 2 hours a day during the summer, so they have the time to spend more time at the beach or in the mountains or on vacation or with their kids or with family or wherever it is, kind of deal, but just enjoying the beautiful weather that we have here in the US during this time of year. So how do you make that happen? Now, first of all, what I'm going to say next is probably going to make your mind be like, absolutely not. But I need you to just be open for a couple minutes so you can understand what I'm teaching you and why this works so much better than what you're doing right now. So back in the day, when I became an entrepreneur, my boyfriend already had a business and he planned his week and he started with the fun stuff, right? He was like, okay, I want to do this, that's fun. I want to do this, that's fun. Like all of those different kinds of things. And so he was like, where am I going to fit, my business time into that? And it was something that totally challenged the way that I thought, because I was like, aren't you supposed to put work first? Like we've been programmed that if you've worked the typical Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like that's set and you live your life around that. But he was challenging everything I knew about a work schedule. So a couple years into business, when I was completely burnt out, working 80 plus hours a week, after that moment of crying in my car, I said to myself, something has to change, because we were getting ready to go into the summer. And I was like, how am I going to be able to finally enjoy my summer, but still be able to get my work done? And so I started to think, what if I embrace the way he thought and started thinking a little bit differently? And that was, he always said, I work when I have to, right? In order to have fun the rest of the time. And so that may be 7 days a week. And I was like, 7 days a week? What are you talking about? I mean, I was already working 7 days a week because I was working 80 hours, but I was trying to get down to 5. And he was like, no. He's like, you want to find time blocks in your day that you can power through what you got to get done. And I was like, okay. And so this became like my mantra, and this is what I want to teach you today. But there is a critical step that most women don't know how to do in order to make that happen. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So think about it. Right now, if you're working 8, 10, 12-hour days, right, in your business, trying to get everything done, and I'm telling you to go to 2, you're like, how in the heck is that going to happen, right? Well, here's what I know for a fact. When I have a day with absolutely nothing on my calendar, I am guilty, just like most people, of being like, la, 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 let me scroll on social for a little. Let me take my time. Oh, I go off in this world. Oh, I squirrel over here. And all of a sudden it's coming to the end of the day. And I say to myself, oh my gosh, I only have 2 hours left and I have to get all this stuff done. And I'm like, right? And I get it done. And so here's the thing. When you commit to working only 2 hours a day, you focus so hardcore. You take your notifications and you shut them off. You get out of all of the screens that you don't need open. You don't need Messenger open. You don't need DMs open. You don't need social media open. You don't need your email open unless you're using it for that specific task. You shut down all that stuff and you focus. And this is what allows you to power through your work. Now, the question comes down to, what is the work that you're actually powering down on, right? This is the huge thing. I had a brand new client sign up for my signature program, the Legacy Business School, last week. And so we had her first call, her first scale strategy session yesterday. And she said to me, what are IPAs? I need some clarification on this. And I was like, that's a great question. So here's what I know for sure. There are certain tasks, activities, projects in your business that actually move the needle. What do I mean by move the needle? That means that they directly relate to your revenue growth, okay? Not making your website pretty does usually not scrolling on social media, not spending an hour crafting that perfect post. All of those kinds of things are things that keep you busy, but usually don't directly relate to bringing in money. Sure, they attribute to the bigger picture, right? Posting on social media and, having a website and those kinds of things. They attribute to the bigger picture, but they don't directly attribute to what grows your business. So let me give you an example. So in my coaching business, I have a social media power hour that I do every single morning. For the most part, I will say 90 to 95% of the time, right? There are some days it doesn't happen till later in the day, or maybe something happens, like I'm sick, and it doesn't happen at all. But here's the thing. During this time, I power through all the things that I need to do on social media, interacting, commenting, work, connecting with potential collaborations, looking for speaking opportunities, responding to my DMs, having conversations, booking calls, all of those things, posting on social media, all of those things I get done in 1 hour on like 5 platforms, right? It used to take me about an hour and a half. And actually now, well, I'm dialing a little bit more on LinkedIn right now, but right now it's taking me about an hour a day, right? And so I can power through this and get it done because I have a system and I know that it directly attributes to me growing my business, right? And so when I was talking to this new client yesterday, I said to her, what exactly attributes to you growing your business? Well, she's the one still doing her sales calls. And so that directly relates to her growing her business, right? She needs to make sure that she has enough sales calls on her calendar every single week to convert them into new clients. And she needs to make sure that her sales call process is working and dialed in. So the time she's spending on them, she's getting the highest conversion percentage possible in order to make those happen. So some of her income producing activities might be, one, making sure that she's getting fed enough leads in order to have enough calls on her calendar every single week, right? Two, figuring out what her closing percentage is right now, and then working to improve that percentage. So that could be improving her systems, that could be improving her skills or training or anything kind of along those lines. And then three, it could be that she takes those sales calls and after they're done, they're done, she recorded them, that she's reviewing them, right? They're like kind of like her playbook, like they do in sports, like reviewing them. And she says like, okay, what can I do better on the next time? How could I make this better? So that is a huge income producing activity for her. And so she wants to spend the majority of her time focusing on those calls because that's what's directly going to grow her business. And so maybe a short-term thing that she works on as an income producing activity is improving the cultivation, nurturing process between the time they're a lead and they get on the phone. Then maybe she analyzes the calls, right? And she says, okay, I'm going to take an extra 30 minutes and I'm going to analyze these calls to see what I think I could do better, what really hit home, for most people, and then get it up and then really keep track of her numbers so she knows where she's doing better and where she still needs work. This is an income producing activity. So back to your 2-hour work week. If you are like me and social media, and I'm going to say aligned, intentional social media is an income producing activity for you, and you have like a social media power hour like I do, then maybe one out of your 2 hours is doing that every single day, 7 days a week, right? If you're like my client who it's part of the sales process, maybe she spends 30 minutes on a call a couple days a week, and then she spends the other time analyzing her calls, seeing if she can get maybe front load more leads, right now in order to get more practice. And then once she gets her conversion up, she can kind of say, okay, this is how many I now need to do a week in order to hit my client, new client conversion number, right? So it's going to depend on everyone. And this is one of the things that I go over with new clients when they come into the Legacy Business School. And the reason is because I find that most women are doing a lot of things, but not a lot of things are moving the needle in their business. We're wasting time on things that are important, but not important enough to move the needle. And so if you truly want to spend only 2 hours a day working during the summer, you need to laser focus on the things that are going to grow your business, and the other stuff can be put like on the back burner, right? You're still going to work 14 hours a week, which may seem a little crazy right now if you're working 50 plus hours, but what's going to happen is the 14 hours that you're working is going to be so hyper laser focused on growing your business that you're probably most likely, I can almost guarantee it, that you will see better returns in the future after 90 days. Like maybe you only do this July and August for summer, but I can almost tell you in September, you're going to be like, wow, my business is growing a lot faster than normal. And it's because you're spending 2 hours laser focused on the most important things to grow your business instead of spending 8 to 10 hours on all kinds of random things, right? So that is the secret to working 2 hours a day. Now, if you are like my new client was, and you understand like, okay, I get the concept of income producing activities, but I'm not sure if I know exactly what they are in my business, then I want to encourage you to comment scale, and let's get on a complimentary scale strategy session. This is where you're going to tell me what is your biggest frustration in your business. Then we're going to figure out what are the income producing activities that you need to do in order to work 2 hours a day this summer, and then put a 90-day plan in place so that way you can make them happen and be able to see results by the end of Q3. So I hope that made sense for you. So comment scale, I'll get you on my calendar, if not this week, next week. And that way we can get you going and you can literally start living the summer that you've dreamed about for probably way too long. And you're going to find that in 60 days, like by the time fall comes, that you're like, wow, I am in such a better place because I focused on what was most important to grow my business. That's all I have for you today. I will see you next week back here for Make the Shift with Salen. If you have any questions at all, pop them in the comments. And if you found this valuable, let me know what your biggest aha was below. And of course, sharing is caring. If you know any other woman entrepreneur you think would find benefit in this, then please share this with them or tag them in the comments. So I'll see you guys next week. Have a fabulous week. I'll see you later.